Help me. I can't move." Emma whispered, her voice cracking as her wheelchair lay sideways in the filthy alley. 3 shadows closed in. The tallest one grabbed her face, his fingers digging into her cheeks. "You saw what you shouldn't have seen, sweetheart. Now we gotta fix that problem." Emma's legs were useless, her arms pinned. Her scream died in her throat. Then the thunder came. Not from the sky, from a Harley engine echoing off the brick walls. A mountain of a man stepped off that motorcycle, and everything changed. Before we continue, I want to ask, where in the world are you watching from today? Drop your city in the comments below. I'm always amazed to see how far these stories travel. And if you haven't already hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the end, trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Emma Lawson gripped her wheelchair's push rims and powered herself down Miller Street, her arms burning with the familiar effort. 2 years. 2 years since the accident that took her legs and her parents in the same cruel night. 2 years of learning to live again when everything inside her wanted to stop. "Morning, Emma," called out Mrs. Patterson from the flower shop doorway. Emma forced a smile. "Morning, Mrs. Patterson." "You need any help getting to the library, honey?" "No, ma'am, I got it." She always got it. She had to. There was no one else. The Riverside Public Library sat at the end of Main Street, a red brick building that had become Emma's sanctuary. She worked there 3 days a week, shelving books, helping patrons, losing herself in stories that let her forget her own. Margaret Chen, the head librarian, looked up as Emma wheeled through the automatic doors. "You're early." "Couldn't sleep," Emma admitted. Margaret's eyes softened. She never pushed, never pried. That was why Emma trusted her. "The new shipment came in. Historical fiction section needs organizing whenever you're ready." Emma nodded and wheeled herself toward the back, grateful for work that kept her hands busy and her mind quiet. The morning passed in comfortable routine. Books in, books out. Dewy decimal numbers that made sense when nothing else did. Emma was reaching for a misplaced biography when she heard them. Voices. Low and urgent. Coming from the parking lot behind the library. She shouldn't have looked. That's what she told herself later, over and over. She shouldn't have wheeled to the window. Shouldn't have pushed aside that dusty curtain. But she did. 3 men stood in a tight circle near a black SUV. Money changed hands. Small plastic bags passed between fingers. Emma recognized the tallest one immediately: Derek Hollis, the sheriff's nephew. The one mothers warned their daughters about. The one everyone pretended not to see. Derek looked up. Their eyes met through the dirty glass. Emma's blood turned to ice. She yanked the curtain closed, her heart slamming against her ribs. Did he see her? Did he know she saw? Her hands trembled as she gripped her wheels. "Emma," Margaret's voice made her jump. "You okay? You look pale." "I'm fine." The lie tasted bitter. "Just tired." She finished her shift in a fog, checking over her shoulder every few minutes, flinching at every shadow. When 5 o'clock finally came, Emma practically flew out the back entrance. The alley was supposed to be a shortcut, 30 seconds off her usual route. Nothing more. She was halfway through when her front wheel caught on a broken piece of concrete. The chair lurched. Emma grabbed for something, anything, but there was nothing to hold. She went down hard, her shoulder taking the impact, her wheelchair clattering sideways against the grimy wall. "No, no, no." Emma tried to right herself, but without her chair, without her legs, she was helpless. A turtle on its back. Vulnerable. Exposed. That's when she heard the footsteps. Well, well, well. What Derek Hollis stepped out of the shadows, his two friends flanking him like guard dogs. He smiled, but there was nothing human in it. Thought that was you at the library window, Derek said, crouching down to her level. Thought to myself, Derek, that little cripple just saw something she shouldn't have. I didn't see anything. Emma's voice shook. I don't know what you're talking about. Derek laughed. Come on now, don't insult my intelligence. He grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at him. His fingers were cold, his grip bruising. Do you know who my uncle is? The sheriff, Emma whispered. That's right. The sheriff. Which means I can do whatever I want in this town. And nobody, he squeezed harder, is going to believe a word you say. Please. Tears streamed down Emma's face. Please, I won't tell anyone. You're damn right you won't. Derek nodded to his friends. One of them picked up her wheelchair and threw it further down the alley. The crash of metal on concrete echoed like a gunshot. Here's what's going to happen. Derek set his face inches from hers. You're going to forget what you saw today. You're going to go about your pathetic little life. And if I ever hear that you opened your mouth... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Help me? Emma whimpered, her voice barely audible. I can't move. Derek stood up, brushing off his jeans like she was dirt. That's the point, sweetheart. The three men laughed. Emma closed her eyes, waiting for whatever came next, praying it would be quick. Then she heard it. The rumble started low, building like distant thunder. An engine, a motorcycle engine, getting closer. Derek's head snapped toward the alley entrance. His smile faltered. The Harley appeared like something out of a nightmare, chrome and black steel gleaming in the late afternoon light. The man riding it was massive, 6'4" at least, with a gray beard and arms covered in faded tattoos. His leather vest bore patches that made Derek take a step backward. Hell's Angels. The rider killed the engine and dismounted slowly, deliberately. He didn't speak. Didn't need to. His presence alone changed the temperature of the alley. This ain't your business, old man. Derek tried, but his voice cracked on the last word. The biker took one step forward. Just one. I'm making it my business. His voice was gravel, and smoke low and dangerous. Emma had never heard anything so terrifying or so beautiful. Derek's friends were already backing away, self-preservation overriding loyalty. You know who my uncle is? Derek tried again. Don't care. Another step forward. Derek flinched like he'd been struck. We were just leaving anyway. Derek tried to save face, straightening his jacket. This ain't over, cripple. It's over, the biker said. And if I see you near her again, we're gonna have a different kind of conversation. Understand? Derek's face twisted with rage, but fear won out. He jerked his head at his friends, and they retreated, footsteps quick and uneven, not quite running, but close. The alley fell silent. Emma lay on the ground, tears and dirt on her face, her whole body shaking. The biker walked past her to retrieve her wheelchair. He righted it, checked the wheels, then brought it back. Can you pull yourself up? His voice had changed. Still rough, but softer somehow. Patient. I think so. It took 3 tries. Her arms felt like water and her shoulder screamed where she'd landed on it. But she managed to drag herself into the seat, grabbing the armrests for support. Thank you, she breathed. Thank you so much. The biker nodded once, already turning back toward his motorcycle. Wait, Emma called out. Please, what's your name? He paused, but didn't turn around. Stone. I'm Emma. Emma Lawson. Silence. "Why did you help me?" she asked. "You don't even know me." Finally, he looked back. Something flickered in his eyes, something old and heavy and full of pain. "Because someone should have." Then he was on his bike, and the engine roared to life, and he was gone. Emma sat in that alley for a long time, letting her heart rate return to normal. Her shoulder throbbed, her face ached where Derek had grabbed her, but she was alive. She was alive. The sun was setting by the time she made it home. Her apartment was small, just a studio really modified for wheelchair access on the first floor of an old Victorian. It wasn't much, but it was hers. The only thing she'd managed to salvage after the accident, after the lawyers, after the medical bills ate through everything her parents had left behind. Emma locked the door behind her. Then she locked it again. She wheeled to the window and peered through the blinds at the parking lot below. Empty. No black SUV. No Derek. But he knew where she worked now. How long before he figured out where she lived, Emma's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She made herself eat just crackers and cheese all she could stomach, then took a hot shower that turned her skin pink and raw. The water couldn't wash away the feeling of Derek's fingers on her face, but she tried anyway. That night she dreamed of the accident. She always dreamed of the accident. The headlights coming out of nowhere, her mother's scream, her father's hands on the wheel trying to swerve, trying to save them. The impact that shattered everything, the car, her spine, her life. She woke at 3 a.m, gasping, tangled in sweat-soaked sheets. The room was dark. Silent. Normal. Then she saw it. A shadow moved past her window. Emma's breath caught. She stayed perfectly still, watching, waiting. The shadow moved again, a figure human standing in the parking lot below, looking up at her building, looking at her window. Emma didn't sleep again that night. Morning came gray and overcast. Emma got ready for work on autopilot exhaustion, making her movements slow and clumsy. She considered calling in sick, staying hidden, safe, but safe from what Derek had made his threat clear. Hiding wouldn't change that. She went to work. Margaret noticed immediately. "Emma, honey, you look awful." "Bad night," Emma said. "I'm fine." "You keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you think it means." Despite everything, Emma almost smiled. Margaret and her movie quotes. The morning shift passed without incident. No Derek, no shadows, just books and quiet, and the familiar rhythm of work. By noon, Emma had almost convinced herself she'd imagined the figure in the parking lot. Fear playing tricks on her mind. Nothing more. Then she went to take her lunch break and found her wheelchair tires slashed. Both of them. Clean cuts, deliberate and precise. Emma stared at the ruined rubber, her stomach dropping to her feet. A note was tucked under the armrest. 3 words in block letters, "Keep your mouth shut." She didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't do anything but sit there paralyzed in a way that had nothing to do with her legs. Margaret found her 10 minutes later. "Emma." "What's—" She saw the tires, saw the note. Her face went pale. "We need to call the police." "No." The word came out sharper than Emma intended. "No police." "Honey, this is serious. Someone threatened you." "I know who it was, and calling the police won't help. Trust me." Margaret's eyes searched her face. "This has something to do with what you saw yesterday, doesn't it? Through the window?" Emma said nothing. That was answer enough. "Stay here," Margaret said. I'm going to find you a way home." She disappeared into the back office. Emma heard her making phone calls, her voice low and urgent. 20 minutes later, a pickup truck pulled into the library lot. The driver was a young man Emma didn't recognize, with kind eyes and a gentle manner. "I'm Tommy," he said. "Mrs. Chen called my mom. She runs the women's shelter on Oak Street. We've got a spare wheelchair you can use until yours gets fixed." Emma wanted to refuse, wanted to insist she could handle this herself. But her ruined tires told a different story. "Thank you," she said quietly. Tommy loaded her into the truck with practiced ease. Clearly he'd done this before. As they pulled out of the parking lot, Emma looked back at the library, at the window where she'd made the mistake that changed everything. "My mom says you should come stay at the shelter for a few days," Tommy said, "just until things cool down. I appreciate that, but I'll be okay at home." Tommy didn't push. He dropped her off at her apartment, helped her into the borrowed wheelchair, an older model, squeaky but functional, and gave her a card with the shelter's number. "If you change your mind," he said, "day or night." Emma thanked him again and went inside. The apartment felt different now, smaller, more vulnerable. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat. Every noise made her jump. She checked the locks 3 times before she could make herself sit down. That's when she noticed the window. It was open. Just a crack. Just enough to let in the cooling evening air. Emma never left her windows open. She wheeled closer, her heart pounding. The screen had been cut a neat slice right through the mesh. Someone had been in her apartment. While she was at work, someone had come inside. Emma's vision tunneled. Her hands gripped the wheels so hard her knuckles turned white. Think she told herself. Think. Nothing looked disturbed. No drawers open, no belongings missing. But someone had been here. Someone wanted her to know they could get to her whenever they wanted. Emma grabbed her phone and stared at the screen. She could call the police, report a break-in. But Derek's uncle was the sheriff. Reporting this would only make things worse. She could call the shelter. Hide there until when forever Derek wasn't going to forget about her. Wasn't going to stop. She could run, pack a bag, and disappear. Start over somewhere new, somewhere no one knew her name. But she'd already started over once, after the accident, after losing everything. She'd built this life from nothing, piece by painful piece. She wasn't ready to lose it again. There was one other option. Emma stared at her phone for a long time. Then she opened the browser and started searching. Stone Hellsangels, Riverside, Tennessee. The results were surprisingly sparse. A few old news articles, mostly from the 80s and 90s. Bar fights, arrests, the kind of trouble that followed motorcycle clubs like shadows. One name kept appearing: Marcus Reeves. Stone Reeves. Former Hells Angel, now semi-retired. Owner of Reeves Auto Repair on the outskirts of town. Emma memorized the address. The next morning she called in sick to work. Margaret didn't argue and set out for the garage. It took her 45 minutes to wheel herself there, her arms aching, the borrowed chair squeaking with every rotation. The garage was exactly what she'd expected. Grease-stained concrete old cars in various states of repair. The smell of oil and gasoline heavy in the air. Stone was under a lifted truck when she arrived. His boots, the only visible part of him. "Hello?" Emma called out. "Mr. Reeves!" The boots shifted. A moment later, Stone slid out on a creeper, wiping his hands on a rag. His face registered surprise, then something harder to read. "You shouldn't be here." I know, but I didn't know where else to go. Stone stood towering over her even more than he had in the alley. In the daylight, she could see his face more clearly, the deep lines around his eyes, the scar that bisected his left eyebrow, the weariness that seemed bone deep. What happened? Emma told him. The slashed tires, the note, the cut window screen, the feeling of being watched, hunted, trapped. Stone listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. Derek Hollis, he said when she finished. Not a question. You know him? Know of him. His uncle's been running this town for 15 years. Dirty as they come, but smart enough to hide it. So you understand why I can't go to the police. Stone nodded slowly. What exactly do you want from me? Emma met his eyes. I want to feel safe again, even if it's just for one night. The silence stretched between them. Stone's jaw worked like he was chewing on words he didn't want to say. This ain't my fight, he said finally. I know. I don't do this anymore. Haven't for years. I know. If I get involved, it brings trouble. For both of us. I know. Emma's voice cracked. But I don't have anyone else. My parents are dead. I don't have family, don't have friends who can help with this. You're the only person who's ever stood up for me. Ever. Stone looked away. His hands clenched and unclenched at his sides. You remind me of someone, he said quietly. Who? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the garage door and looked out at the empty road. There's a room above the shop, he said without turning around. It ain't much, but it's got a lock and a bed. You can stay there tonight, just tonight. Thank you. Emma's voice was barely a whisper. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. Stone finally turned to face her. If Derek finds out you're here, things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. I understand. No. His eyes were hard. You don't. Not yet. He grabbed a set of keys from a hook on the wall and led her to a side door. The stairs were a problem. Emma stared at them with familiar frustration, but Stone solved it without a word, lifting her wheelchair with her still in it and carrying both up like they weighed nothing. The room was small, but clean. A single bed, a dresser, a window overlooking the garage lot. A bathroom that had been modified with grab bars. Clearly, this wasn't the first time someone with mobility issues had stayed here. There's food in the mini fridge, Stone said. Nothing fancy. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone but me. Emma nodded. Mr. Reeves? Stone. Stone. Why are you helping me? Really? He stood in the doorway for a long moment, his massive frame blocking out the light. I had a daughter once, he said. Her name was Lily. Emma waited, sensing there was more. She died 5 years ago, 23 years old. His voice was flat, carefully controlled. I wasn't there when she needed me. I was on the road living my life, pretending the club was my family. By the time I came back, he didn't finish. He didn't need to. I'm sorry, Emma said. Don't be sorry. Be smart. Stay inside. Stay quiet. And if anything feels wrong, you call me. He handed her a card with a phone number scrawled on it. Day or night. Then he was gone, and Emma was alone with the ghosts of his daughter and her parents, and all the other people they'd both lost. She locked the door behind him. For the first time in days, she slept. She woke to the sound of breaking glass. Emma shot upright, heart-hammering, disoriented in the unfamiliar room. Darkness pressed against the windows. What time was it? How long had she been asleep? Another crash. This time followed by voices. Angry voices. Emma grabbed her phone. 2:47 a.m. and wheeled to the window. Below in the garage lot, 3 figures moved through the shadows. One of them held something that glinted in the moonlight. A crowbar. They were smashing Stone's cars. His equipment, his livelihood. Emma watched in horror as they moved from vehicle to vehicle, methodical and vicious. Windows shattered, metal crumpled, paint scraped. Then one of them looked up, directly at her window. Even in the darkness, she recognized him. Derek Hollis smiled and lifted one hand in a mocking wave. Emma yanked herself away from the glass, her whole body shaking. They knew. They knew she was here. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You can't hide from us. Not behind cops. Not behind bikers. Not behind anyone. Next time, we won't just break glass. Below, an engine roared to life. Tires squealed. Then silence. Emma sat in the dark, her phone clutched to her chest, and waited for morning. When Stone found the damage at dawn, his face went still in a way that frightened Emma more than Derek ever had. This was a message, he said quietly, surveying the destruction. Thousands of dollars worth of damage, maybe more. I'm so sorry. Tears ran down Emma's face. This is my fault. I shouldn't have come here. I shouldn't have... Stop! Stone's voice cut through her spiral. This isn't your fault. This is Derek Hollis thinking he can do whatever he wants. And he's wrong. He turned to face her, and Emma saw something new in his eyes. Not just protectiveness, not just sympathy, anger, cold and focused and terrifying. He wants a war. Stone pulled out his phone. I'll give him a war. He dialed a number and waited. Someone answered on the 3rd ring. Mike, it's Stone. Yeah, I know it's been a while. A pause. I need a favor. Actually, I need more than a favor. I need the old crew. Emma watched him pace, her heart beating hard. How many can you get? No, I'm serious. This is real. This is... He stopped, listened. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. He hung up and looked at Emma. What did you just do? She asked. Stone's smile held no warmth. I just made a few phone calls. By tomorrow, Derek Hollis is going to learn what happens when you mess with family. Emma's breath caught. Family? Stone walked over and crouched down so they were at eye level. Up close, she could see the pain he carried, the loss, the guilt, the years of regret. But underneath all of that, something else. Hope. My daughter is gone, he said quietly. I can't change that. Can't bring her back. But maybe I can make sure what happened to her doesn't happen to anyone else. Starting with you. Emma didn't have words. Couldn't find them through the tears. Stone straightened up and headed for the stairs. Get some rest, he said. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Emma watched him go, her mind spinning with everything that had happened. 2 days ago, she'd been a library clerk with a quiet life and a painful past. Now she was caught in the middle of something bigger than she'd ever imagined. And somehow impossibly, she wasn't alone anymore. She wheeled back to the window and looked out at the ruined cars below. At the spray-painted message on the garage wall she hadn't noticed before. Dead men don't talk. Neither do dead girls. Emma stared at those words for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and started to research. If she was going to survive this, she needed to know everything. About Derek. About Sheriff Hollis. About the drug operation they were running right under everyone's noses. She needed evidence. Proof. Something that couldn't be ignored or covered up. And she knew exactly where to start looking. Emma's fingers flew across her laptop keyboard, the glow of the screen the only light in Stone's small room above the garage. 3 hours she'd been at this. 3 hours of digging through public records news archives and social media posts. What she found made her sick. Derek Hollis wasn't just a dealer. He was the distribution hub for half the county. And every trail led back to one man, Sheriff Roy Hollis, his uncle, the most trusted lawman in Riverside. "You should be sleeping." Emma jumped, her heart slamming against her ribs. Stone stood in the doorway, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. "I couldn't," she admitted. "Not after I needed to do something." Stone crossed the room and handed her a cup. He glanced at the screen, his eyes narrowing. "What did you find? Everything." Emma pulled up a document she'd compiled. Derek's been running drugs through this town for at least 4 years. Prescription pills, mostly oxycodone fentanyl. But it's gotten worse. 3 overdose deaths in the last 18 months. All ruled accidental. They weren't accidents. No. Emma looked up at him. They weren't. And I think I can prove it. Stone set down his coffee. How? The library has access to county records. Death certificates, police reports, autopsy results. I've been cross-referencing everything. She pointed at the screen. See this Marcus Webb, age 19. Died of an overdose last March. The police report says he was found alone in his apartment, but his mother posted on Facebook that he called her that night, said someone gave him bad pills at a party. She tried to report it. Sheriff Hollis told her she was grieving and imagining things. Stone's jaw tightened. Who else? Jennifer Crane, 24. Thomas Rodriguez, 17. Emma's voice cracked on the last name. 17 years old, Stone. He was a junior in high school. I remember him. Stone's voice was rough. His grandmother goes to my church. She hasn't been the same since. Emma closed the laptop. This isn't just about me anymore. Derek and his uncle, they're killing people, and nobody's stopping them because everybody's too scared. Or too dead. The words hung in the air between them. Emma felt their weight settle on her shoulders. What are we going to do? She asked. Before Stone could answer, the roar of motorcycle engines split the morning quiet. Not one engine, several, maybe half a dozen. Stone moved to the window. Something shifted in his face, not quite a smile, but close. Cavalry's here. Emma followed him downstairs, her wheelchair bumping over the uneven threshold. In the garage lot, 6 motorcycles had arranged themselves in a loose semicircle. The riders were dismounting, pulling off helmets, revealing faces that looked like they'd seen the rough side of every road in America. A massive black man approached first, his arms like tree trunks, his smile surprisingly warm. Stone, you old bastard. He pulled Stone into a bear hug that would have crushed a lesser man. Thought you were done with all this. So did I, Mike. So did I. The man, Big Mike. Emma assumed, turned to look at her. His eyes were sharp, assessing, but not unkind. This the girl, Emma Lawson, Stone said. Emma, this is Mike Crawford. We rode together for 20 years. Ma'am. Mike tipped an imaginary hat. Stone says you got yourself in some trouble. I saw something I shouldn't have. Now the sheriff's nephew wants me dead. Mike's eyebrows rose. She don't sugarcoat it, does she? No, Stone said. She doesn't. The other riders had gathered closer now. Stone introduced them one by one. Tex, a wiry man with a silver ponytail and a Texas drawl so thick you could cut it with a knife. Bobby Wrench Morrison, who'd gotten his nickname from his weapon of choice in a bar fight 30 years ago. Hector Ruiz, quiet and watchful, with sad eyes that had seen too much. And 2 women, Dolores, who everyone called Mama D, a formidable presence, with gray streaked hair and a leather jacket covered in patches, and her daughter Carla younger, but with the same steel in her spine. "So," Mama D said, looking around at the destroyed cars and spray-painted threats. "Derek Hollis did this." "Last night," Stone confirmed. 3 a.m. Emma saw the whole thing from upstairs. "Little punk," Tex spat on the ground. "His daddy was the same way. Mean as a snake and twice as stupid." "His daddy's dead," Mike said. "Killed in a prison fight 6 years back." "Good riddance." Mama D approached Emma, her expression softening. "Honeystone told us what happened in that alley. You okay?" Emma didn't know how to answer. Was she okay? She hadn't felt okay in 2 years, maybe longer. "I'm alive," she said finally. "That's something." Mama D nodded slowly. "That's everything, sweetheart. That's everything." The group moved inside the garage, away from prying eyes. Stone had cleared a space among the tools and car parts, setting up folding chairs in a rough circle. Emma positioned her wheelchair at the edge, trying to make herself small. "Here's what we know," Stone began. "Derek Hollis is running drugs through Riverside. His uncle Sheriff Roy Hollis is providing cover. They've been at it for years, getting bolder. 3 people are dead from overdoses connected to their supply, maybe more. And now they're targeting Emma because she can identify Derek," Mike finished. "Not just identify him." Emma spoke up, surprised by the steadiness in her own voice. "I've been researching. I have documentation. Deaths, dates, connections. If I could get this to the right people." "What people?" Wrench interrupted. "The police sheriff controls them. The mayor, he's been golfing with Roy Hollis for 20 years. "State police," Emma said. "Or the district attorney from the next county. Someone outside the system." Silence fell over the group. Tex was the first to break it. "Girl's got a point. This ain't something we can punch our way out of. We need evidence that'll stick." "We need to keep her alive long enough to use it," Hector added quietly. "Derek's not going to stop. He can't. She knows too much." Mama D leaned forward. "What exactly did you see, honey? Walk us through it." Emma took a breath. "Money and drugs changing hands behind the library. Derek was there with 2 other men. I didn't recognize them, but I could describe them. Derek saw me watching through the window. And instead of laying low, he escalated." Mike shook his head. "Stupid. Drawing more attention to himself." "He's scared," Stone said. "That makes him dangerous." "He's always been dangerous," Mama D corrected. "Remember the Patterson girl 3 years ago?" Something cold slithered down Emma's spine. "What Patterson girl?" The bikers exchanged glances. Finally, Mama D spoke. "Sarah Patterson. She was 22, worked at the diner on 5th Street. Started dating Derek for a few months, then tried to break it off." Mama D's voice was flat, controlled. "She disappeared. Police said she probably ran off with some boyfriend. Case closed." "She didn't run off," Emma said. It wasn't a question. "No, she didn't." Emma's hands gripped her wheelchair's armrests. How many people has he hurt? That nobody talks about, and too many," Stone said. "That's why this ends now." The planning took hours. They mapped out Derek's known locations, his patterns, his associates. Emma shared everything she'd found in her research, the documents, the connections, the trail of bodies that led straight to the Hollis family. By noon, they had a plan. Not a perfect one, but a start. Mike would reach out to a contact at the state police, a detective who owed him a favor from years back. Mama D would use her connections at the women's shelter to find other witnesses, other victims who might be willing to talk. Tex and Wrench would keep eyes on Derek's movements, document everything. Hector and Carla would stay close to Emma, providing protection, while Stone coordinated. "What do I do?" Emma asked. "You stay alive," Stone said. "And you keep digging. The more evidence we have, the harder it'll be for them to bury this. I can do more than that." "Emma?" "No." She cut him off, surprising herself with the force in her voice. "I'm not going to hide in a room while everyone else takes risks for me. I know the library system. I know where the records are, how to access them. I can find things nobody else can." Stone stared at her for a long moment. Something flickered in his eyes, respect, maybe, or recognition. "Your mama was stubborn too, wasn't she?" The question hit Emma like a physical blow. "You knew my mother." Stone's expression shifted. He looked away. "Stone." Emma wheeled closer. "Did you know my parents? This isn't the time. Did you know them?" The garage fell silent. Every eye was on Stone now. He let out a long breath. "I knew your daddy. Long time ago, before you were born. We grew up in the same neighborhood, ran in the same circles for a while before he straightened out." Emma's mind was spinning. "He never mentioned. I never knew. He wanted a different life. For himself, for your mama, for you. We lost touch after he got married. I heard about the accident on the news." Stone's voice roughened. "I didn't know the girl in the wheelchair was Tommy Lawson's daughter until I saw your face up close." You got his eyes. Emma didn't realize she was crying until she tasted salt on her lips. "I'm sorry I didn't say nothing sooner," Stone continued. I wasn't sure you'd want to know." "Of course I want to know." Emma wiped her face with the back of her hand. "I want to know everything. I don't have anyone left who remembers them." Stone nodded slowly. "Then we'll talk. After this is over. I'll tell you every story I've got." Emma believed him. The meeting broke up in the early afternoon. The bikers dispersed to their various assignments, promising to check in regularly. Mama D lingered, pressing a card into Emma's hand. "The shelter's always got room," she said. "Day or night you need somewhere safe, you call me." "Thank you." Mama D cupped Emma's face in her weathered hands. "Your daddy was good people. The best. You make him proud, you hear?" Emma nodded, not trusting her voice. After everyone left, Emma returned to her research. But the words on the screen blurred together, her mind refusing to focus. Her father had known Stone, had been friends with him, had never said a word. What else hadn't he told her? She was so lost in thought that she almost missed the soft knock at the door. "Stone." No answer. The knock came again, lighter this time. Emma grabbed the baseball bat Stone had left her and wheeled to the door. "Who is it?" "My name's Clara Bennett." The voice was female, elderly, trembling slightly. "I work at the library. Margaret Chen sent me." Emma hesitated. Margaret had mentioned Clara, a retired nurse who volunteered on weekends, helped with the children's reading program. She opened the door. Clara Bennett was small and white-haired, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. She looked like everyone's grandmother. She also looked terrified. "May I come in, please? I don't want anyone to see me here." Emma moved aside, and Clara slipped through the door like she was being chased by ghosts. "I heard what happened to you," Clara said, wringing her hands. "Margaret told me everything. The alley, the threats, the break-in, and I couldn't stay quiet anymore." "Quiet about what?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. "My grandson, Danny. He died 18 months ago. Overdose, they said. But I knew it wasn't an accident. Emma's breath caught. Danny Bennett. I saw his name in the records. He was 20 years old. Clara's voice broke. He was going to be a teacher. He wanted to help kids learn to read just like I did. Then he went to one party, and he never came home. Mrs. Bennett. Clara, please. Clara. Emma reached out and took the older woman's hand. It was cold, trembling. I'm so sorry. I tried to tell the sheriff. I told him Danny didn't use drugs, that someone must have given him something, that it wasn't an accident. He looked me right in the eye and said I was confused. Said grief does that to people. Clara's jaw tightened. I've been a nurse for 40 years. I know what I saw. I know what killed my grandson, and I know who's responsible. Derek Hollis. Clara nodded. Danny was at a party at the old Millbrook barn. Derek was there. I have Danny's phone. The sheriff never asked for it. There are texts, pictures, proof that Derek sold him those pills. Emma's heart was racing. Clara, do you still have that phone? It's hidden. At my house. I was too scared to do anything with it, but after I heard about what they did to you, I couldn't stay scared anymore. Clara squeezed Emma's hand. I lost my grandson. I won't let them hurt anyone else. Not if I can stop it. Emma made a decision. We need to call Stone. Right now. Stone arrived within minutes. He listened to Clara's story without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each word. When she finished, he asked only one question. How soon can you get that phone? Tonight. My sister's visiting for dinner. I'll make an excuse to go to my house alone. I'll drive you, Stone said. No. Clara shook her head firmly. If anyone sees me with you, they'll know something's wrong. I need to do this alone. It's not safe. Nothing is safe anymore. Clara straightened her shoulders, and for a moment Emma saw the steel beneath her gentle exterior. I spent 18 months being afraid. I'm done being afraid. Stone and Clara argued for another 20 minutes, but Clara wouldn't budge. Finally, they reached a compromise. Tex would follow at a distance, keeping eyes on her without being obvious. She would retrieve the phone and bring it back to the garage. 2 hours, Clara said. 3 at most. If anything feels wrong, I know. I'll be careful. After Clara left, Emma sat in silence, processing everything. The conspiracy was bigger than she'd imagined. Deeper. How many other families had lost someone? How many other grandmothers were hiding phones full of evidence, too scared to come forward? This isn't just about me anymore, Emma said quietly. Stone settled into a chair across from her. No, it's not. If we can get that phone, combine it with what I've found, get it to the state police. It might be enough. Might. Stone's expression was grim. Derek's not stupid. Reckless, yeah. Mean as hell, definitely. But he's survived this long because he knows how to cover his tracks. We're going to need more than one phone and some circumstantial evidence. Then we get more. Emma leaned forward. Clara can't be the only one with information. There have to be others, friends, family members, people who've seen things they were too scared to report. Finding them won't be easy. I can do it. The certainty in Emma's voice surprised even her. I'm good at research, at connecting dots. Give me access to the right databases, and I can find patterns nobody else has noticed. Stone studied her for a long moment. Your daddy was like that too. Saw things other people missed. Made connections that seemed impossible until he explained them. Tell me about him. Please. I need to know. Stone rubbed his jaw, and for a moment, Emma thought he would refuse. Then he began to speak. Tommy Lawson was the smartest guy I ever knew. Could have done anything, doctor, lawyer, professor. But he chose to be an accountant because he said he liked the way numbers told stories. Caught 3 different business owners cheating on their taxes just by looking at their books. One of them was connected to people who, well, people you didn't want to cross. What happened? Your daddy did the right thing anyway. Turned over the evidence. The guy went to prison. Your daddy got a target on his back. Stone's voice dropped. He was careful for years. Then he met your mama had you thought maybe the danger had passed. Emma's blood ran cold. Are you saying the accident? I don't know. Stone met her eyes. I've wondered. But I don't know. The phone rang before Emma could respond. Stone grabbed it. Tex, what's wrong? Emma watched his face change, saw the color drain from his cheeks. When, his voice was barely controlled. How bad? He hung up without saying goodbye. Stone. What happened? Stone grabbed his keys. Clara's house. Someone beat us there. The next 20 minutes were the longest of Emma's life. Stone loaded her into his truck and drove like a man possessed, tires squealing around corners, engine roaring. When they arrived, Emma's stomach dropped. An ambulance sat in Clara's driveway, lights flashing. Paramedics were loading a stretcher into the back. Tex stood on the sidewalk, his face ashen. Stone was out of the truck before it fully stopped. What happened? I lost her. Tex's voice was raw. She went inside. I waited like we planned. But there was a back door I didn't know about. Someone was already in the house. Clara. They beat her bad, Stone. Real bad. She was barely conscious when the neighbors called 911. Emma felt tears streaming down her face. The phone. Did she get the phone? Tex reached into his jacket and pulled out a small plastic bag. Inside was an iPhone with a cracked screen covered in blood. She was holding it when I found her. Wouldn't let go even when the paramedics tried to take it. Made me promise to get it to you. Stone took the bag carefully, like it was made of glass. She knew, Emma whispered. She knew they might come for her, and she went anyway. She wanted justice for her grandson. Stone's voice was thick. She got it. At what cost? Nobody had an answer. The ride to the hospital was silent. Emma stared out the window, watching the streets of Riverside pass by. This town she'd grown up in, this place she'd thought was safe. How many secrets was it hiding? How much blood was on its hands? Clara was in surgery when they arrived. The doctors wouldn't say much: broken ribs, internal bleeding, severe concussion. It would be hours before they knew anything. Emma sat in the waiting room, the bloody phone in her lap. Stone had made copies of everything, already sending the files to 3 different email addresses. If something happened to the physical phone, the evidence would survive. This is my fault, Emma said. Stone looked up from his coffee. Don't. If I hadn't involved her, she involved herself. She made a choice. Stone leaned forward. Clara Bennett is 72 years old. She's buried a grandson and watched his killers walk free. Nobody made her do anything. She saw a chance to fight back, and she took it. And now she might die. She might. Stone's voice was hard. And if she does, we make damn sure it means something. We take what she gave us, and we burn Derek Hollis's world to the ground. Emma looked down at the phone, at the cracked screen stained with an old woman's blood. How do we know who to trust? She asked. The sheriff's corrupt. The police are useless. Who do we give this to? I've been thinking about that. Stone pulled out his own phone. Mike's contacted the state police. She's good, but she's one person. We need backup. What kind of backup? The kind that can't be bought or scared off. Stone scrolled through his contacts. I know someone, district attorney from Sullivan County. She's been trying to make a case against the Hollis family for years, but she's never had enough evidence. Will she help? She'll do more than help. Stone found the number and hit dial. She'll tear them apart. The phone rang twice before someone answered. D.A. Shaw's office. I need to speak with Rebecca Shaw. Tell her it's Marcus Reeves. Tell her I have everything she needs. A pause. Then, hold, please. 30 seconds later, a woman's voice came on the line. Sharp, professional, with an edge of barely contained intensity. Stone, it's been 5 years. Rebecca, I've got a present for you. Derek Hollis, Sheriff Roy Hollis, and everyone connected to their operation. Evidence that'll hold up in court. Witnesses who'll testify. Silence on the other end. Then, I'm listening. Stone talked for 10 minutes. He laid out everything Emma's research. Clara's phone, the pattern of deaths, the destroyed evidence, the intimidation. Rebecca Shaw listened without interrupting. When he finished, she asked only one question. How soon can you get me those files? Tonight. But there's a catch. There always is. They know we're coming now. After what happened to Clara, they're going to move fast. Destroy evidence, silence witnesses. We've got days, maybe less. Then we move faster. Rebecca's voice hardened. I've been waiting for this chance for years, Stone. I won't let it slip away. Get me those files and I'll have arrest warrants issued by morning. What about protection? I've got people here who need to stay safe. State police will coordinate. I'll have officers dispatched within 2 hours. A pause. This is really happening, isn't it? We're finally going to take them down. Yeah. Stone looked at Emma, then at the surgery doors where Clara fought for her life. We are. He hung up and turned to Emma. Now what? She asked. Now we wait. And we pray Clara pulls through. And if she doesn't? Stone's eyes were hard as flint. Then we finish what she started. 2 hours later, the surgeon emerged. His face was exhausted, but not grim. She's stable, he said. It was touch and go for a while, but she's a fighter. She's asking for someone named Emma. Emma's heart seized. Me. She's asking for me. She keeps saying the girl in the wheelchair. I'm assuming that's you. Stone helped Emma navigate to Clara's room. The old woman looked impossibly small in the hospital bed, her face swollen and bruised, tubes and wires everywhere. But her eyes were open. Alert. Emma? Her voice was barely a whisper. Did you get it? Emma rolled closer and took Clara's hand. We got it. We got everything. Good. Clara's cracked lips curved into something like a smile. Then it was worth it. Clara, don't. Clara squeezed her hand with surprising strength. I knew the risks, made my choice. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Don't stop. No matter what they do, no matter who they hurt. Don't stop until they pay for what they've done. For Danny. For all of them. Tears ran down Emma's face. I promise. Clara closed her eyes, exhausted. Your parents would be proud of you, sweetheart. So proud. Emma stayed until Clara fell asleep. Then she wheeled out into the hallway where Stone waited. We need to go, he said. State police are setting up a command post at Mike's place. Rebecca Shaw is driving down tonight. Okay. Emma. Stone stopped her with a hand on her shoulder. You did good today. Real good. She didn't feel like she'd done anything good. She felt tired and scared and overwhelmed. But she also felt something else. Purpose. For 2 years, she'd been surviving, getting through each day, going through the motions, trying not to think about everything she'd lost. But tonight, holding Clara's hand, making that promise, something had shifted. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was fighting. And she wasn't going to stop until Derek Hollis and everyone who protected him paid for what they'd done. The drive to Mike's place took 30 minutes. By the time they arrived, the command post was already taking shape. State police officers in unmarked vehicles, equipment being unloaded, maps spread across tables. Rebecca Shaw stood in the center of it all, directing operations with the precision of a general. She was younger than Emma expected, mid-40s maybe, with sharp features and eyes that missed nothing. "You must be Emma Lawson." Rebecca crossed the room and shook her hand. "I've been reading your research. Impressive work. I just connected some dots." "You did more than that. You built a case. A good one." Rebecca's expression softened slightly. "I'm sorry about what happened to Mrs. Bennett, but I promise you her sacrifice won't be wasted." "When do we move?" "Dawn. We hit Derek's house, the sheriff's office, and 3 other locations simultaneously. By the time they realize what's happening, we'll have everyone in custody." "What about the sheriff? He'll have warning systems people inside the department who'll tip him off." Rebecca smiled, and there was no warmth in it. "That's why we're not using local police, state officers only, and we've got a judge from the next county signing the warrants. This is airtight." Emma nodded slowly. For the first time in days, she allowed herself to feel something like hope. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered before she could think better of it. "Miss Lawson." Derek Hollis's voice slithered through the speaker. "We need to talk." Emma's blood turned to ice. Every eye in the room locked onto her. "Nothing to say." Derek's laugh was low and cruel. "That's not like you, sweetheart. You've had plenty to say lately." Stone was already moving toward her, gesturing for one of the state police officers to start a trace. Rebecca Shaw stepped closer, her face tight with concentration. "What do you want, Derek?" Emma's voice came out steadier than she felt. "What do I want?" That's a funny question coming from the girl who's been trying to destroy my life. Derek's tone shifted, hardening. "I want you to stop. I want you to take whatever evidence you think you have and burn it. I want you to forget you ever saw anything. And if I don't, then things get messy. Messier than they already are." A pause. "How's the old lady doing, by the way? Clara, right? I heard she had an accident. Terrible thing, accidents. They happen all the time in this town." Emma's hand shook. Stone put his palm on her shoulder, steadying her. "You're a coward," Emma said. "Beating up a 72-year-old woman. That's what you're capable of. That's your big power move." Silence on the line. When Derek spoke again, his voice had changed. Colder. More dangerous. "You think you're brave, don't you? Sitting there in your little wheelchair playing detective. You think those bikers can protect you? Think the state police give a damn about some crippled girl from nowhere? I think you're scared." Emma leaned into the phone. "I think you know what we have. I think you know it's over." Derek laughed again, but there was no humor in it. "Nothing's over until I say it's over. You want to know what I think you've got until sunrise. After that, all bets are off. Every person who's helped you, every friend you've made, every single one of them becomes a target. Starting with that old biker who thinks he's your daddy now." The line went dead. Emma stared at the phone, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. "Did you get the trace?" Rebecca asked the officer. "Partial. He's somewhere on the east side of town, but he's using a burner. Signal's bouncing." "He knows we're coming," Stone said grimly. That call was a warning, or a distraction. Rebecca's jaw tightened. "Then we move up the timeline. I'm not giving him until sunrise to prepare." "Can you do that?" "Get the warrants faster." "I'll make some calls." Rebecca was already pulling out her phone. "But we're looking at 2 hours minimum. The judge needs to sign off. We need to coordinate the teams. 2 hours is too long." Stone turned to Emma. What did he say exactly before the threat? Emma replayed the conversation in her mind. He said I had until sunrise. He said everyone who helped me would become a target. He's going to run, Mama D said from the doorway. Nobody had noticed her arrive. That's what cornered animals do. They either fight or they run. Derek's not the running type, Tex countered. He's too proud, too stupid. His uncle isn't. Mama D crossed her arms. Roy Hollis has been getting away with this for 15 years. He didn't survive that long by being stupid. The second he catches wind of what's happening, he's gone. Rebecca looked up from her phone. I've got units watching both their houses. If they try to leave, they won't use the front door. Stone rubbed his jaw, thinking. The Hollis family owns property all over this county. Hunting cabin, storage units, a boat dock on the lake. If Roy wants to disappear, he's got a dozen ways to do it. Then we need to smoke him out, Emma said. Everyone turned to look at her. Think about it, she continued. Derek called me because he's panicking. He knows we have evidence. He knows the state police are involved. He's trying to scare me into backing off because that's the only play he has left. So we use that. We make him think it's working. Make him think I'm scared enough to meet with him to negotiate. Stone's face darkened. Absolutely not. Listen to me. No, you're not putting yourself in front of that animal again. Not after what he did to Clara. Stone. Emma wheeled closer to him. He's going to run. You know it, and I know it. If we wait for the warrants, if we do this by the book, he'll be gone before anyone can stop him. But if he thinks he's won, if he thinks I'm coming to him with my tail between my legs, he'll let his guard down, Rebecca finished. Her eyes were calculating. It could work. It's too dangerous, Stone insisted. Everything's dangerous. Emma met his gaze. Clara almost died to get us that phone. My parents, her voice caught. My parents might have died because of these people. I'm not going to hide while everyone else takes risks. I can't. The room fell silent. Emma watched Stone's face cycle through emotions, fear, anger, frustration, and finally something that looked almost like pride. If we do this, he said slowly, we do it my way. You wear a wire. We have people in position before you're anywhere near him, and the second things go sideways, we pull you out. No arguments. Agreed. I mean it, Emma. If I say run, you run. I can't exactly run Stone. Despite everything, a ghost of a smile crossed his face. You know what I mean. Rebecca stepped forward. I don't like this. For the record, I think it's reckless and potentially illegal. But she held up a hand to stop Stone's protest. If it works, we catch Derek red-handed, his own words on tape threatening a witness. That's attempted witness tampering at minimum, combined with everything else we have. It's enough to bury him, Emma said. It's enough to bury everyone. Rebecca turned to her officers. Start setting up. I want surveillance on every exit route within a 5-mile radius. If Derek Hollis so much as sneezes, I want to know about it. The next hour was controlled chaos. Emma watched from the corner as officers coordinated positions, checked equipment, ran through scenarios. Mama D brought her coffee and sat beside her, saying nothing but providing a steady presence. You remind me of someone, Mama D said finally. Stone said the same thing. His daughter. Mama D's voice was soft. Lily. Before the drugs took her, she was just like you. Stubborn. Brave. Too smart for her own good. Emma didn't know how to respond. I'm sorry about what happened to her. We all are. Stone most of all. Mama D turned to look at her. He blames himself, you know. Thinks if he'd been there, if he'd paid more attention, he could have saved her. That guilt's been eating him alive for 5 years. Is that why he helped me? Because I remind him of her? Partly, but it's more than that. Mama D paused, choosing her words carefully. When Stone saw you in that alley helpless and scared, something woke up in him. Something he thought was dead. He's not trying to replace Lily. He's trying to become the man he should have been. The one who doesn't look away. Emma felt tears prick her eyes. I don't know if I can do this. You can. Mama D squeezed her hand. You've already done harder things. Surviving that accident. Learning to live again. Losing your parents and not giving up. This is just one more hard thing. And you won't be alone. Stone approached before Emma could respond. It's time. Derek agreed to meet. Where? The old Millbrook barn. Same place Danny Bennett went the night he died. Stone's face was grim. He thinks he's being clever meeting on his own turf. He doesn't know we have eyes on every inch of that property, Rebecca added. We've got 6 officers in position. The second he incriminates himself, we move in. Emma took a deep breath. Okay, let's do this. The drive to the Millbrook property took 20 minutes. Stone drove his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Emma sat beside him, the wire hidden beneath her shirt, her heart hammering against her ribs. Remember, Stone said, keep him talking. Get him to admit what he did to Clara. Get him to talk about the drugs, the deaths, anything. The more he says, the deeper he buries himself. And if he figures out I'm wearing a wire, he won't. But if he does... Stone didn't answer. He didn't need to. They stopped a quarter mile from the barn. Stone helped Emma into her chair, his hands gentle, but his face hard. I'll be watching, he said. Every second. You see me move, you get out of the way. Understand? Emma nodded. Her mouth was too dry to speak. She wheeled herself down the gravel path, the sound of her wheels loud in the evening quiet. The barn loomed ahead, its weathered boards silver in the fading light. A single car was parked outside Derek's black SUV. He was waiting for her inside. Emma stopped at the entrance, willing her hands to stop shaking. She could do this. She had to do this. You came alone. Derek's voice echoed from the shadows. I'm impressed. Thought for sure you'd bring your biker buddies. They don't know I'm here. The lie came easier than expected. I snuck out. Derek stepped into view. He looked different than he had in the alley, rattled his usual arrogance cracking around the edges. Good. Let him be scared. So, he crossed his arms. You wanted to talk. Talk. Emma swallowed hard. I want this to end. I want to go back to my life. I'll give you everything I have, the documents, the research, all of it. Just leave me alone. Derek studied her face, searching for the trap. Why should I believe you? Because I'm tired. Emma let her voice crack, not entirely an act. I'm tired and I'm scared and I just want this to be over. Clara almost died. I don't want to be next. Clara should have minded her own business. Emma's stomach turned, but she pressed on. Was it you? Did you hurt her? What do you think? I think you're capable of it. I think you've done worse. Derek laughed. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Then tell me. Emma wheeled closer, her heart pounding. Tell me what you've done. If I'm going to destroy everything I've worked on, I want to know what I'm giving up. You want a confession? Is that it? Derek's eyes narrowed. Nice try, sweetheart. I'm not that stupid. I'm not wearing a wire. You can check. Derek considered for a moment, then shook his head. Doesn't matter if you are. Nothing I say here can be used against me. Your word against mine, and guess whose uncle runs the sheriff's department? Your uncle's not going to be able to protect you much longer. Derek's face changed. What's that supposed to mean? State police, they're building a case. They have witnesses' evidence. It's only a matter of time. You're bluffing. Am I? Emma held his gaze. Clara had Danny's phone. The one with all the texts, all the pictures. They have it now. They know everything. The color drained from Derek's face. For a moment he looked like a scared little boy. Then the fear transformed into rage. You stupid little... He lunged toward her. Emma wheeled backward, but not fast enough. Derek grabbed her chair and tipped it sideways. She crashed to the ground, pain exploding through her shoulder. You think you can threaten me? Derek stood over her, his foot inches from her head. You think you can come into my town, mess with my family, and walk away? Derek! Shut up! He pulled something from his waistband. A gun. Small and black and absolutely terrifying. You should have taken my deal. Should have kept your mouth shut like a good little cripple. Emma's blood roared in her ears. This wasn't part of the plan. This wasn't supposed to happen. The police know I'm here, she said, her voice shaking. If you hurt me, if I hurt you... Derek crouched down, pressing the gun barrel against her temple. Baby, I'm going to do a lot more than hurt you. And then I'm going to find everyone who helped you, that old biker, the state cop, all of them, and I'm going to make sure they never talk again. You can't kill everyone. Watch me. The barn door exploded inward. Stone came through like a force of nature, moving faster than Emma had ever seen anyone move. He hit Derek from the side, sending the gun skittering across the floor. The two men crashed to the ground in a tangle of fists and fury. Go! Stone roared. Get out! Emma dragged herself toward her overturned wheelchair, her arms screaming with effort. Behind her, she could hear the sounds of the fight. Grunts' impacts breaking wood. She righted the chair and pulled herself into it just as more figures burst through the door. State police officers, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Police! Nobody move! Derek was on the ground. Stone's knee in his back, his face pressed into the dirt. Blood streamed from a cut above his eye. Get off me! Derek screamed. Do you know who I am? Yeah, Stone's voice was cold. You're the guy who just confessed to assault, murder, and drug trafficking. On tape. Derek's face went white. What? Rebecca Shaw stepped into the barn holding up a small recording device. Every word, Mr. Hollis. Every single word. That's illegal. You can't. Actually, we can. Tennessee is a one-party consent state for recordings. Ms. Lawson consented to being recorded. You incriminated yourself. Game over. Officers hauled Derek to his feet and slapped handcuffs on his wrists. He struggled uselessly, screaming threats and obscenities. This isn't over, he shouted as they dragged him toward the door. My uncle will have all of you fired. You'll never work again. Funny you should mention your uncle. Rebecca's smile was razor sharp. We're picking him up right now, along with a dozen of your associates. The whole network, Derek. Every dealer, every distributor, every dirty cop who looked the other way. All of it's coming down. Derek's screams faded as they loaded him into the back of a police car. Emma sat in her wheelchair, shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Stone knelt beside her. You okay? No. She laughed weakly. I'm really not okay. He wrapped his arms around her, and she let herself collapse into his embrace. He smelled like leather and engine oil and something that felt like safety. You did good, he murmured. You did so good, Emma. He was going to kill me. I know. If you hadn't... But I did. Stone pulled back and looked at her. His face was bruised, his knuckles split open, but his eyes were clear. I wasn't going to let anything happen to you. Not while I'm still breathing. Rebecca approached her phone, pressed to her ear. She listened for a moment, then hung up with a satisfied expression. Sheriff Hollis is in custody. Tried to run just like we predicted. State troopers caught him on Highway 70 with 2 suitcases full of cash and a fake passport. Emma felt something release in her chest. It's really over. The arrest phase is over. The legal phase is just beginning. We'll need testimony from you, from Clara, from anyone else willing to come forward. It's going to be a long road. I'll testify. Emma's voice was firm. Whatever you need. I know you will. But Rebecca extended her hand. Thank you, Emma. You did something most people would never have the courage to do. This town owes you a debt. The next few hours blurred together. Statements were taken, evidence was logged, and phone calls were made. By the time the sun rose over Riverside, 8 people were in custody, and the biggest drug operation in county history was dismantled. Emma slept in the back of Stone's truck, too exhausted to go anywhere else. When she woke, it was to the sound of his voice, low and urgent. I know, he was saying into his phone. I know, but this changes things. She needs to know the truth. Emma stirred. Stone noticed and quickly ended the call. Who was that? He hesitated. Rebecca. She found something. Something about Derek. Something about your parents. Emma's heart stopped. What? Stone sat down beside her, his face heavy with sorrow. The accident that killed them. Emma, it wasn't an accident. I know. You told me before that you suspected. It's not suspicion anymore. Rebecca's team found records, payments. A hit was ordered on your father 6 weeks before he died. The world tilted. Emma gripped the seat, trying to stay grounded. Who? The word came out as a whisper. Who ordered it? Stone took her hand. Roy Hollis. Your father was investigating the drug operation. He found something, financial records, money trails. He was going to report it to the state attorney general. Hollis found out and had him killed. Emma couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her parents murdered. Not by a drunk driver, not by chance. Murdered because her father had tried to do the right thing. The driver, she managed. The man who hit us. He was one of Hollis's dealers. He didn't survive the crash, so he could never testify. The whole thing was covered up. Tears streamed down Emma's face, but they weren't just tears of grief. They were tears of rage, of vindication, of terrible, terrible understanding. 2 years, she said. I've spent 2 years blaming myself, wondering if I could have done something different, wondering why I survived when they didn't. And the whole time the people responsible were walking free. Stone's voice was thick. But not anymore. Roy Hollis is going to spend the rest of his life in prison. Your parents are going to get justice. Emma broke down completely. Stone held her as she sobbed, mourning her parents all over again. Mourning the life they should have had. The life she should have had. But underneath the grief, something else was growing. A sense of purpose she'd never felt before. Her father had died trying to expose the truth. Now she had finished what he started. I want to see him, Emma said when she could finally speak. Roy Hollis, I want to look him in the eye. Emma. He murdered my parents. He needs to know I'm the one who took him down. He needs to know their daughter survived. Stone studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded. Rebecca can arrange it. But Emma, are you sure facing him isn't going to bring them back? I know. Emma wiped her face. But it's going to help me move forward. I need closure. I need him to see that he failed. The county jail was cold and sterile. Emma waited in an interrogation room, her wheelchair positioned directly across from an empty chair. Stone stood in the corner, arms crossed, ready to intervene if needed. The door opened. Roy Hollis shuffled in, wearing an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs. He looked smaller than Emma had expected. Older. Defeated. He sat down across from her and met her eyes. "You're Lawson's girl." "Yes." Hollis shook his head slowly. "Damn. I knew you looked familiar when I saw you around town. Should have recognized it sooner. Would it have changed anything?" "No." His voice was flat. "Business is business." Emma felt her rage crystallize into something cold and hard. "You killed my parents. You destroyed my life. And for what money power? Survival." Hollis leaned forward. "You're young? You don't understand how the world works. Sometimes you do things to protect what's yours. Your family. Your legacy." "Your legacy?" Emma laughed bitterly. "Your nephew is going to prison for the rest of his life. Your operation is destroyed. Everyone who ever worked for you is racing to cut deals. This is your legacy." Something flickered in Hollis's eyes. Fear, maybe. Or regret. "I didn't want to kill your father," he said quietly. "Tommy was a good man. Stubborn like you. He could have looked the other way. Could have taken the money I offered and walked away. But he didn't. No, he didn't." Hollis exhaled slowly. "Neither did you." "No." Emma leaned forward, matching his posture. "I didn't. And now you're going to spend the rest of your life knowing that Tommy Lawson's daughter is the one who destroyed everything you built. Every time you close your eyes in that prison cell, you're going to see my face." Hollis said nothing. For the first time, he looked truly broken. Emma turned her wheelchair toward the door. "We're done here." "Miss Lawson." Hollis's voice stopped her. "For what it's worth. I'm sorry." Emma didn't turn around. "No, you're not. But you will be." She wheeled out of the room without looking back. Stone walked beside her in silence until they reached his truck. He helped her into the passenger seat, then climbed in beside her. "How do you feel?" Emma considered the question. The rage was still there, but muted now. The grief was still raw, but different. Lighter, somehow. "I feel like I can finally start to heal," she said. Stone nodded. "That's all that matters." They drove back to Riverside as the sun climbed higher in the sky. Emma watched the familiar streets pass by, seeing them differently now. This town that had held so much darkness. This town that had nearly destroyed her. But it hadn't. She was still here. Still fighting. Still alive. Her phone buzzed. A text from Clara's hospital room. "Woke up. Heard the news. You did it, sweetheart. You did it." Emma smiled through fresh tears. She typed back 3 words, "We did it." Stone glanced at her. "Good news. The best." Emma tucked her phone away. "Clara's awake. She wants to see me." "Then that's where we're going." The hospital was quieter now, the chaos of the previous night replaced by ordinary routine. Emma wheeled herself to Clara's room, Stone following close behind. Clara looked fragile in her hospital bed, but her eyes were bright and alert. When she saw Emma, her face transformed with joy. "There's my girl." Clara reached out her hands. "Come here. Let me look at you." Emma rolled close and took Clara's hands in hers. They were warm now, strong despite everything. "Roy Hollis is in jail," Emma said. "Derek too. All of them." "I heard." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "Danny can rest now. They all can. Because of you. You gave us everything we needed." "No." Clara squeezed her hands. "Because of you. I was just an old woman with a phone. You're the one who put it all together, who refused to give up." Stone cleared his throat. "I hate to interrupt, but there's someone outside who wants to see you both." The door opened, and Mama D walked in, followed by Mike, Tex, Wrench, Hector, and Carla. They filled the small room with their presents, leather, and tattoos, and weathered faces full of unexpected tenderness. "Heard we were having a victory party," Mama D said. "Didn't want to miss it." Clara laughed a real laugh despite her injuries. "I haven't been to a party in years." "Well, you're part of the family now." Mike grinned. "Family parties together." Emma looked around the room at these people who had become her people. Bikers and librarians, former outlaws and retired nurses, an unlikely family bound together by tragedy and hope. "Thank you," she said, her voice breaking. "All of you. I couldn't have done this alone." "That's the point, honey." Mama D wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "You're not alone anymore." For the first time in 2 years, Emma truly believed it. 3 weeks had passed since the arrests, and Riverside was slowly waking up from a nightmare it hadn't known it was having. Emma sat in Rebecca Shaw's office, surrounded by case files and witness statements preparing for the trial that would define everything. "Derek's lawyer is going to come after you hard," Rebecca said, sliding another document across the desk. "They're going to attack your credibility, your mental state. They're going to say you imagined things, misinterpreted what you saw." "Let them try." Emma's voice was steady. "I know what I saw. I know what he did." "That's good. Hold on to that." Rebecca leaned back in her chair. "The prosecution's case is solid, but Derek's family has money. They've hired Martin Caldwell." Stone, who had been standing by the window, turned sharply. "Caldwell, the guy who got that senator's kid off on manslaughter charges?" "The same. He's already filed motions to suppress the recording from the barn. Claims it was obtained through entrapment." Emma felt a flash of fear, but pushed it down. "Can he do that?" "He can try. The judge hasn't ruled yet." Rebecca's expression was grim, but determined. "We need to be prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. If the recording gets thrown out, your testimony becomes even more critical. Then I'll testify. I'll tell them everything. You'll need to tell them things that are going to hurt." Rebecca's voice softened. "About your parents. About what Roy Hollis did. The defense will try to paint you as biased, motivated by revenge, rather than justice. I am motivated by revenge." Emma met her eyes. "But that doesn't make what I saw any less true." The door opened before Rebecca could respond. Her assistant looked pale. "Ms. Shaw, there's someone here to see Emma Lawson. He says it's urgent." "Who?" "He says his name is Marcus Webb. Senior." Emma's blood ran cold. Marcus Webb, the 19-year-old who had died of an overdose last March. His father was here. Rebecca nodded. "Send him in." The man who entered was in his 50s, with graying hair and eyes that had seen too much grief. He moved slowly, like every step cost him something. When he saw Emma, his face crumpled. "You're the girl," he said. "The one who's going to make them pay." "Mr. Webb, my boy is dead." His voice cracked. 19 years old, had a scholarship to state, was going to be an engineer. Now he's in the ground because of those animals." Emma felt tears prick her eyes. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry. Be strong." Marcus Webb crossed the room and took her hands. His grip was fierce, almost painful. "I couldn't protect my son. But you're doing what I couldn't. You're fighting back." "I'm trying." "Then keep trying. Keep fighting. Don't let them win." His eyes bored into hers. "Promise me." Promise me my boy didn't die for nothing." "I promise." The words came out thick with emotion. "I promise, Mr. Webb." He held her gaze for a long moment, then nodded. Something shifted in his face, not peace exactly, but something close to it. "Thank you." He released her hands and stepped back. "I'll be at the trial, every day. I want them to see my face. I want them to know what they took from me." After he left, Emma sat in silence, the weight of his grief pressing down on her. Stone moved to her side. "You okay?" "No." She wiped her eyes. "But I will be. I have to be." Rebecca's phone rang, shattering the moment. She answered, listened, and her face went white. "When? How bad?" A pause. "I'll be right there." She hung up and looked at Emma with something like horror. "What happened?" Stone demanded. "Clara Bennett. Someone attacked her again. At the hospital." Emma couldn't breathe. "Is she? She's alive, but barely. Someone got past security into her room. They tried to smother her with a pillow." The world tilted. Stone grabbed Emma's wheelchair handles to steady her. "Who?" Emma's voice was barely a whisper. "They don't know. Security footage is being reviewed." Rebecca grabbed her keys. "Stone, get Emma somewhere safe. I'm going to the hospital." "I'm coming with you. Emma, she's my family." Emma's voice broke. "I'm coming." The hospital was chaos. Police officers swarmed the halls interviewing staff and reviewing security footage. Clara's room was cordoned off with yellow tape. Emma pushed through until a nurse stopped her. "Ma'am, you can't." "Where is she? Where's Clara?" "She's been moved to the ICU. Only family. I am her family." Emma's voice rose. "I'm on her emergency contacts. Check your records." The nurse hesitated, then checked her clipboard. Her expression shifted. "Emma Lawson." "Yes." "She's been asking for you. Room 412. But you need to prepare yourself. She's in bad shape." Emma had thought she was prepared. She was wrong. Clara lay in the ICU bed, smaller and more fragile than ever. Her face was bruised, her neck marked with dark fingerprints where someone had tried to strangle her. A ventilator breathed for her, the mechanical wheeze the only sound in the room. "Oh, God." Emma wheeled to the bedside and took Clara's hand. Clara, I'm here." Clara's eyes fluttered open. Recognition sparked in them, followed by fear. Her voice was barely audible. "They came back." "I know, but you're safe now. I won't let anyone hurt you again." "No." Clara's hand tightened on Emma's with surprising strength. "Not safe. None of us." "What do you mean, the man?" Clara's breathing was labored, each word an effort. "The man who attacked me. I saw his face." Emma leaned closer. "Who was it? Did you recognize him?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. "Tommy's partner, from the accounting firm." The words didn't make sense. "My father's partner, but Richard Hayes." Clara coughed, wincing with pain. "He was there. He did this." Emma's mind reeled. Richard Hayes had been her father's business partner for 15 years. He'd spoken at her parents' funeral. He'd sent flowers to Emma every year on the anniversary. "That's impossible. Richard was my father's best friend." "He was working with them." Clara's voice was fading. "Hollis, all of them. He's been covering their money for years. Tommy found out. That's why." She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Emma felt something shatter inside her. Richard is the reason my parents are dead." Clara nodded weakly. He knew everything. And now he's cleaning up loose ends." Why didn't you tell me before? I just remembered. When I saw his face, I remembered seeing him with Derek months ago before Danny died. Tears streamed down Clara's cheeks. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Stone appeared in the doorway, his face grim. Emma, we need to talk. Now. She squeezed Clara's hand. Rest. I'll be back. In the hallway, Stone pulled her aside. His expression made her stomach drop. They reviewed the security footage, he said. The man who attacked Clara was wearing a maintenance uniform. He clocked in at 6 a.m. using stolen credentials. Richard Hayes. Clara recognized him. Stone's eyebrows shot up. Your father's partner. She says he's been laundering money for Hollis for years. Stone, he's been at my parents' house. He came to their funeral. He sent me birthday cards. Emma's voice cracked. He looked me in the eye and told me how sorry he was, and the whole time he knew. He knew they were murdered because of him. Stone's jaw tightened. Where is he now? I don't know. I haven't seen him since before. Emma trailed off, the implications hitting her. He's been hiding. This whole time while we were taking down Derek and Roy, he's been hiding. Waiting. Waiting for what? For us to let our guard down. Emma felt a cold certainty settle in her chest. We got the Hollises, but we didn't get everyone. Richard is still out there. And he knows I'm the one who started all this. Stone pulled out his phone. I'm calling Rebecca. We need to find this guy before he disappears. He won't disappear. Emma's voice was flat. He's too arrogant. He's been getting away with this for years. He thinks he's untouchable. Then we prove him wrong. The next few hours were a blur of phone calls and strategy sessions. Rebecca Shaw mobilized her team, putting out alerts for Richard Hayes. His house was empty. His office was abandoned. His car was missing. Emma sat in Stone's kitchen, surrounded by the people who had become her family. Mama Dee had made coffee. Tex was checking his weapons. Mike was coordinating with contacts across the state. Hayes has connections, Rebecca said, spreading a map across the table. Money resources. If he wants to run, he can get far. He's not running. Emma stared at the map, something nagging at the back of her mind. He attacked Clara in broad daylight. That's not the action of someone who's planning to flee. Then what is it? It's... Emma closed her eyes, thinking. My father always said Richard was meticulous. Everything planned down to the last detail. He wouldn't attack Clara unless he had a reason. Maybe he panicked, Tex suggested. Richard doesn't panic. That's what made him so good at his job. Emma opened her eyes. He's not cleaning up loose ends. He's following a plan that started before any of this. What do you mean? Think about it. Roy and Derek are in jail. The operation is exposed. But the money, all those years of drug profits, where did it go? Rebecca's face changed. Hayes was the accountant. He knows where all the bodies are buried. And the money? He knows where the money is? Emma felt pieces clicking into place. Roy Hollis trusted him with everything. The accounts, the transfers, the hiding spots. Richard has access to millions of dollars. So he's not trying to silence witnesses, Stone said slowly. He's trying to buy time. Time to move the money before we can track it. Exactly. Emma turned to Rebecca. Can you freeze the accounts? We've frozen everything connected to Hollis. But if Hayes set up separate accounts offshore under different names, then the money is still out there, and Richard is the only one who knows how to get to it. Stone slammed his fist on the table. We need to find him. Now! I might know where he is. Everyone turned to look at Emma. My parents had a cabin, Lake Whitmore, about 2 hours north. Richard helped my dad build it. He knows it's been empty since the accident. He probably thinks no one would ever think to look there. You think he'd go somewhere connected to your family? I think Richard Hayes has a sick sense of irony, Emma's voice hardened. He killed my parents and stole their money. Using their cabin as a hideout, that's exactly the kind of thing he'd do. Stone grabbed his keys. I'll check it out. We'll check it out. Emma met his eyes. He killed my parents, Stone. I need to be there. Emma, I need this. Stone looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Mike Tex, you're with us. Mama D, stay here with Clara. If anything happens, I know what to do. Mama D's hand rested on Emma's shoulder. Be careful, both of you. The drive to Lake Whitmore was tense and silent. Emma watched the familiar landmarks pass by the old mill, the covered bridge, the turnoff for the swimming hole where her father had taught her to fish. You okay? Stone asked quietly. I haven't been back here since the accident. Emma's throat tightened. I couldn't face it. All those memories. We don't have to do this. I can go alone. No. Emma straightened in her seat. I've been running from the past for 2 years. It's time to stop running. The cabin came into view as they rounded the final bend. A black sedan was parked outside. Richard Hayes was here. Stone killed the engine and turned to Emma. Stay in the truck until we secure the area. Stone. I mean it. Let us go in first. If something happens to you. He didn't finish, but Emma understood. She nodded. Stone, Mike, and Tex approached the cabin with weapons drawn. Emma watched from the truck, her heart pounding. The door opened before they reached it. Richard Hayes stepped onto the porch, hands raised. He was smaller than Emma remembered, with thinning hair and wire-rimmed glasses. He looked like an accountant. He looked harmless. I was wondering when you'd figure it out, he called. Took you long enough. Richard Hayes, you're under arrest. Stone's voice was steady. Get on your knees. Hands behind your head. There's no need for that. Richard smiled a thin, cold expression. I'm not going to run. I've been waiting for you. Waiting for us. I have information. About the money, about the operation, about everything Roy Hollis built. Information that will put away a lot of powerful people. Richard's smile widened. Information I'm willing to trade. Trade for what? Immunity. Protection. A new life, somewhere far away from here. Richard lowered his hands slightly. I'm the only one who knows where the money is. $23 million spread across accounts in 6 different countries. Without me, it disappears forever. Stone's jaw tightened. You tried to kill an old woman this morning. Clara Bennett was collateral damage, a regrettable necessity. Richard shrugged. She recognized me. I couldn't take the risk. And Tommy Lawson. Was he collateral damage too? Richard's expression flickered. Tommy was my friend, but he made a choice. He chose to be a hero instead of a survivor. That's not my fault. Emma couldn't stand it anymore. She opened the truck door and wheeled herself toward the cabin. Emma, stay back, Stone commanded. But she kept moving her eyes locked on Richard Hayes. You were at their funeral. Her voice shook with rage. You stood there and cried. You told me you'd always be there for me. Richard's smile faded. Emma, I didn't expect. You killed them. She was close now, close enough to see the sweat on his forehead. You killed my parents and then you came to their funeral and pretended to grieve. What kind of monster does that? I didn't kill anyone. Richard's voice hardened. I moved money, that's all. What Roy did with the information I gave him, that was his choice. You knew what would happen. You knew, and you did it anyway. Your father was going to ruin everything. Richard's composure cracked. 15 years of work, millions of dollars. And Tommy was going to throw it all away because he couldn't look the other way like everyone else. He was a good man. He was a fool. Richard stepped closer, and Stone raised his weapon. A fool who thought right and wrong were simple, who thought he could expose the truth and walk away. The world doesn't work like that, Emma. There are always consequences. Yeah, Emma's voice was ice. There are. She pulled her phone from her pocket and pressed a button. Rebecca, did you get all that? Richard's face went white. What? You've been recording since I got out of the truck. Emma's smile was savage. Every word, every admission, every excuse. That's you can't. Tennessee is a one-party consent state. Remember. Emma wheeled backward as Stone moved in. You taught me that lesson yourself when you helped Derek's lawyers try to suppress my recording. Funny how things come back around. Richard lunged toward her, but Stone was faster. He tackled the accountant to the ground, pinning him face first in the dirt. Richard Hayes, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, and attempted murder. Stone's voice was cold with satisfaction. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. Mike and Tex secured Richard's hands, while Emma watched her whole body trembling with adrenaline. It won't matter. Richard's voice was muffled against the ground. I know too much. They'll never let me testify. You think Roy Hollis was the top of the chain? He's nothing. There are people above him who will never let this come to trial. Let them try. Emma leaned forward. I've already taken down your operation. I've already put your friends in jail. And now I'm going to do the same to everyone else connected to this. Every dirty cop, every corrupt politician, every person who helped cover up my parents' murder. I will find them all. Richard twisted his head to look at her. For the first time, real fear showed in his eyes. You're just a girl in a wheelchair. You can't. I can. Emma cut him off. Because I'm not alone. And because I have nothing left to lose. The state police arrived 20 minutes later. Richard Hayes was loaded into the back of a cruiser, still protesting, still making threats. Emma watched until the car disappeared down the mountain road. Stone stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder. You okay? I don't know. Emma's voice was hollow. He was at our house every Christmas. He taught me to play chess. My dad trusted him completely. Your dad was a good man. He saw the best in people, and it got him killed. Stone knelt beside her wheelchair so they were at eye level. Your father died trying to do the right thing. That's not weakness. That's courage. The same courage I see in you every single day. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I miss them. So much. I know. Stone pulled her into his arms. I know you do. They stayed like that for a long time, two broken people holding each other together. When they finally drove back to Riverside, Emma asked Stone to make a detour. The cemetery where her parents were buried was quiet in the late afternoon light. Stone helped her navigate the wheelchair between the headstones until they reached the double plot. Thomas and Sarah Lawson. Beloved parents. Forever in our hearts. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. Emma's voice caught. It's been a while. Stone stepped back, giving her privacy. I know you can't hear me. I know that. But I needed to tell you something. Emma wiped her eyes. I found out the truth. About the accident. About why you died. And I made them pay. Roy Hollis is in prison. Derek, too. And now Richard is going to spend the rest of his life behind bars. The wind rustled through the trees, gentle as a whisper. I wish you were here. I wish I could tell you in person. I wish... Emma broke down completely. I just wish. She sat there until the sun began to set, talking to her parents about everything that had happened. about Clara and Stone and the family she'd found, about the trial that was coming, about the future she was finally starting to believe in. When she was ready, Stone drove her back to town. The hospital was quieter now, the chaos of the morning subsided. Clara was awake when Emma entered her room. "You found him." Clara's voice was stronger than before. "I saw it on the news. We found him. He's going to prison." "Good." Clara reached for Emma's hand. "And you? Are you okay?" Emma thought about the question, about everything she'd lost and everything she'd found, about the anger and the grief and the strange, unexpected hope. "I'm getting there," she said finally. "Day by day." Clara smiled. "That's all any of us can do, sweetheart." Stone appeared in the doorway, phone in hand. His expression was strange, not quite happy, not quite sad. "That was Rebecca," he said. "The judge ruled on Caldwell's motion." Emma's heart stopped. "And the recording stands, all of it. Derek's confession, Roy's statement, Richard's admission. It all comes in." Relief flooded through Emma so powerfully she nearly laughed. "It's over. Really over. The trial still has to happen, but with this evidence," Stone allowed himself a small smile, "they don't stand a chance." That night, Emma sat on Clara's hospital bed while Mama D braided her hair and the others gathered around. Someone had brought food. Someone else had smuggled in wine. It felt like a celebration, even though nothing was technically finished. To Clara, Mike raised his cup. "For having more guts than men half her age." "To Emma," Mama D added. "For refusing to give up." "To family," Stone said quietly. "The kind you're born with, and the kind you choose." They drank together, laughing and talking and healing. Later, when the others had gone, and Clara had fallen asleep, Emma wheeled herself to the window. The lights of Riverside twinkled below ordinary and beautiful. Her phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca Shaw. "Press conference tomorrow. They want you there. You're going to be a hero." Emma stared at the message. A hero. She didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired and sad and broken in ways that would never fully heal. But she also felt something else, something she hadn't felt since before the accident. Purpose. She typed back a single word. Ready. The door opened behind her. Stone stood there, his face uncertain. "You should get some sleep." "I can't. Too much in my head." He crossed the room and sat beside her. "Your dad would be proud of you. You know that, right?" "I hope so." Emma's voice was small. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing this for justice or revenge. I'm not sure there's a difference anymore." "Maybe there isn't." Stone looked out at the city lights. "Maybe it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. That's what your dad did. That's what you're doing now. He stood up and they killed him. They tried to kill you too. Didn't work." Stone turned to face her. "You're stronger than you think, Emma Lawson. Stronger than all of them." Emma leaned her head against his shoulder. "I couldn't have done this without you." "Yeah, you could have." Stone's voice was gruff but gentle. "I just made it a little easier." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the night deepen over Riverside. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The trial, the testimony, the endless questions from reporters and lawyers and strangers who wanted a piece of her story. But tonight she was safe. Tonight she was home, and tomorrow she would stand up and tell the world what happened to her parents, to Clara's grandson, to Marcus Webb's son, to every person who had ever been hurt by the Hollis family and their web of corruption. She would tell their stories, and she would make sure they were never forgotten. The phone buzzed again. This time, it was a number she didn't recognize. She answered. Emma Lawson. The voice was female, professional, unfamiliar. Who is this? My name is Patricia Webb, Marcus Webb's wife, Danny's mother. Emma's throat tightened. Mrs. Webb, I'm so sorry about your son. Thank you. There was a pause. I'm calling because I need to tell you something. Something about Danny. Something I've never told anyone. What is it? Danny kept a journal. I found it after he died, hidden in his room. He wrote about everything, the parties, the drugs, the people who supplied them. Patricia's voice shook. He wrote about a woman who was there the night he died, a woman who gave him those pills. Emma's blood ran cold. Who? That's the thing. He didn't know her real name, but he described her. Blonde hair, mid-30s, drove a red convertible. He said she called herself Angel. Emma's mind raced. Something about that description nagged at her memory. Mrs. Webb, did Danny say anything else about this woman? Just one thing. Patricia's voice dropped. He said she wasn't just a dealer. He said she was running the whole thing. Derek, Roy, all of them, they answered to her. The line went dead. Emma stared at her phone, her heart pounding. There was someone else. Someone above Roy Hollis. Someone they hadn't even known to look for. And she was still out there. Emma didn't sleep that night. She sat in Clara's hospital room, the phone still clutched in her hand, Patricia Webb's words echoing in her mind. A woman. Blonde hair. Red convertible. Called herself Angel. Someone above Roy Hollis. Someone they'd missed. You're going to wear a hole in that phone. Clara's voice was soft, but alert. I thought you were asleep. Hard to sleep when you're radiating anxiety across the room. Clara pushed herself up, slowly wincing. What's wrong? Emma told her everything. The phone call, Danny's journal, the mysterious woman who had been running the operation all along. Clara's face grew pale. Angel. Danny mentioned that name once. I thought it was a girlfriend. Do you remember anything else? No. Just... Clara's brow furrowed. Wait. There was something. A card. In Danny's wallet when they returned his things. A business card for some kind of charity. I thought it was strange because Danny never cared about charity work. Do you still have it? Everything's in a box at my house, under my bed. Clara gripped Emma's hand. Be careful, sweetheart. If this woman is as powerful as Patricia says, she's more dangerous than Derek and Roy combined. Emma called Stone at 5 a.m. He listened without interrupting, then said only 3 words. I'm on my way. By sunrise, they were at Clara's house, searching through the box of Danny's belongings. Emma found the business card tucked into a worn leather wallet. Riverside Hope Foundation, helping families rebuild. The logo was a pair of golden wings. I've heard of this organization, Stone said, studying the card. They do charity work around the county. Food drives, scholarship funds, community events. Perfect cover for money laundering. Emma flipped the card over. A phone number was handwritten on the back, along with 2 words. Call me. Who runs this foundation? Stone pulled out his phone and searched. His face changed. What? Emma demanded. the founder and executive director of Riverside Hope Foundation. Stone turned his phone toward her. Victoria Caldwell. Emma's blood went cold. Caldwell, as in Martin Caldwell, Derek's defense attorney. His wife. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. Victoria Caldwell, blonde, mid-30s, wealthy, connected. She would have access to everything: the lawyers, the judges, the politicians. She could make problems disappear with a phone call and a checkbook. She's been here the whole time, Emma whispered, hiding in plain sight. Running the whole operation while her husband defended the people who worked for her. Stone's jaw tightened. That's why Caldwell took Derek's case. He wasn't just a lawyer. He was protecting his wife. We need to tell Rebecca. We need proof first. If we go after Victoria Caldwell without evidence, we'll never get another chance. Emma stared at the business card. Danny's journal. Patricia said it had everything: names, dates, descriptions. That's our proof. Stone was already moving. I'll call Patricia Webb. You call Rebecca and tell her to hold off on any announcements until we know what we're dealing with. The next few hours were a blur of phone calls and coordination. Patricia Webb agreed to bring Danny's journal to Rebecca's office. The state police were mobilized, but discreetly no one could know they were looking at Victoria Caldwell until they were ready to move. Emma sat in the conference room, surrounded by evidence and allies waiting. You should eat something. Mama D set a plate of food in front of her. You've been running on fumes for days. I can't, not until this is finished. It's almost finished, honey. You've done the hard part. Have I? Emma looked up at her. Every time I think it's over, something else appears. Another layer. Another monster hiding behind a friendly face. That's how these things work. Mama D sat down beside her. Evil doesn't announce itself. It hides. It pretends to be good. But eventually the mask slips, and when it does, people like you are there to see it. Patricia Webb arrived at noon, clutching a worn leather journal to her chest. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her face drawn with grief and exhaustion. This is everything Danny wrote, she said, handing the journal to Rebecca. The last 6 months of his life. Rebecca opened the journal carefully. Emma watched her face as she read, saw the horror dawn in her eyes. My God, Rebecca breathed. It's everything, Patricia said. Names, dates, amounts, everything Victoria Caldwell did, documented by my son. Why didn't you come forward before? Because I didn't understand what I was reading. Patricia's voice cracked. I thought Danny was writing fiction, making up stories. I couldn't believe that people I knew, people I trusted, were capable of this. Victoria Caldwell is mentioned by name multiple times. Danny called her the Angel. He said she ran everything from behind her charity work. She recruited kids at community events, got them hooked on pills, then used them as dealers. Patricia wiped her eyes. She targeted children. She targeted my son. Emma felt sick. All those charity events, all those smiling photos in the newspaper, Victoria Caldwell, pillar of the community, destroyer of lives. This is enough, Rebecca said. This is more than enough. What happens now? We arrest her. Today. Before she has any idea we're coming. The arrest team assembled within the hour. State Police FBI agents who had been monitoring the case, and Rebecca Shaw herself. Emma wasn't supposed to be there, but she refused to stay behind. This is my fight, she told Stone. I need to see it end. It's dangerous. Everything's been dangerous. That hasn't stopped me yet. Stone looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Stay in the car. Whatever happens, you stay in the car. Victoria Caldwell lived in the nicest part of Riverside in a white colonial house with a perfectly manicured lawn. The kind of house that appeared in magazines. The kind of house that hid monsters. The arrest team moved in formation surrounding the property. Emma watched from Stone's truck, her heart pounding. The front door opened. Victoria Caldwell stepped onto the porch, coffee cup in hand, wearing a silk robe and a serene smile. She looked like she was expecting guests for brunch, not a SWAT team. "Can I help you, officers?" Rebecca stepped forward, warrant in hand. "Victoria Caldwell, you're under arrest for drug trafficking, money laundering, conspiracy to commit murder, and the corruption of minors. You have the right to remain silent." Victoria's smile didn't waver. "I'm afraid there's been some mistake. My husband is Martin Caldwell. Perhaps you'd like to speak with him about whatever misunderstanding." "There's no misunderstanding." Rebecca's voice was steel. "We have documentation of every transaction you've made, every child you've exploited, every life you've destroyed. Your husband can't help you now." For the first time, something flickered in Victoria's eyes. Not fear, exactly. More like calculation. "You're making a very serious mistake," she said quietly. "I have friends in places you can't imagine. People who will make this go away." "Those friends are already in custody," Rebecca smiled grimly. "Roy Hollis, Derek Hollis, Richard Hayes. They're all talking Victoria. They're all trying to save themselves by giving us you." Victoria's composure cracked. "They wouldn't dare." "They dared," Rebecca nodded to the officers. "Take her." Victoria struggled as they approached her coffee cup, shattering on the porch. "You can't do this. Do you know who I am?" "We know exactly who you are." Rebecca watched as they handcuffed her. "That's the problem." Emma sat in the truck watching the woman who had orchestrated so much suffering being led away in handcuffs. She expected to feel triumph, victory. Instead, she felt hollow. "It's over." Stone's voice was quiet beside her. "Is it? The arrests are done. The evidence is locked down. Victoria Caldwell and everyone connected to her are going to prison for a very long time." "Then why doesn't it feel like enough?" Stone was silent for a moment. "Because nothing can bring them back. Your parents, Danny, all the others. Justice doesn't undo what happened. It just makes sure it doesn't happen again." Emma wiped her eyes. "I wanted to feel better. I wanted this to fix something. Give it time." Stone reached over and squeezed her hand. "The healing comes later. Right now you're still in survival mode." "How do you know?" "Because I've been there." His voice roughened. "After Lily died, I spent years thinking revenge would fill the hole she left. It didn't. Nothing did. But eventually the hole got smaller. The edges got softer. And one day I realized I could think about her without feeling like I was dying." "Does it still hurt?" "Every day." Stone met her eyes. "But it's a different kind of hurt now. Less sharp. More like an old scar that aches when the weather changes. You learn to live with it." Emma looked back at the Caldwell house, where officers were carrying out boxes of evidence. "I don't know how to live with it yet." "You will. You're not alone." The trial began 3 weeks later. The courtroom was packed, reporters, families of victims, curious onlookers from across the state. Emma sat in the front row, Clara on one side and Stone on the other. Derek Hollis was first. He sat at the defense table, looking smaller than Emma remembered, stripped of his swagger and surrounded by lawyers who knew they'd already lost. Emma testified for 4 hours. She told them about the alley, the threats, the break-ins. She told them about Clara and Danny, and all the others who had suffered. She told them about her parents. The defense attorney tried to rattle her, tried to paint her as unstable, revenge-obsessed, unreliable. Emma met every question with steady eyes and clear answers. You expect this jury to believe that a young woman in a wheelchair single-handedly took down a criminal organization that had operated for 15 years. I didn't do it single-handedly. Emma's voice was calm. I had help from people who believed the truth mattered more than their own safety. That's what Derek Hollis and his family never understood. They thought they could terrorize everyone into silence. They were wrong. And your parents' deaths, you're not seeking revenge for what happened to them. I'm seeking justice. Emma looked directly at Derek. There's a difference. Revenge would be taking matters into my own hands. Justice is letting the system do its job. That's what I did. That's what we're doing here today. The courtroom was silent. Even the defense attorney seemed momentarily speechless. Derek was convicted on all counts: drug trafficking, witness intimidation, assault, conspiracy to commit murder. The judge sentenced him to 45 years without parole. Roy Hollis came next. His trial was shorter. He'd already tried to cut a deal offering to testify against Victoria in exchange for a reduced sentence. Rebecca Shaw refused. You don't get to buy your way out of this, she told him in open court. You spent 15 years destroying this community. You ordered the murder of Thomas Lawson and covered it up. You protected a drug ring that killed children. No deal. Roy was sentenced to life in prison. Richard Hayes received 30 years. He cried when the sentence was announced, great heaving sobs that made Emma feel nothing at all. Victoria Caldwell's trial was the longest and most complex. She had money connections, the best lawyers her family could buy. She maintained her innocence until the very end. But Danny's journal was irrefutable. The financial records were damning. And one by one the people who had worked for her took the stand and pointed their fingers. Emma testified again this time about the investigation about how they'd followed the trail from Derek's alley to Victoria's mansion. When the defense attorney suggested Emma had been manipulated by Stone and Rebecca into pursuing a vendetta against prominent citizens, Emma almost laughed. I wasn't manipulated. I was targeted. Victoria Caldwell's organization tried to kill me 3 times. They beat a 72-year-old woman nearly to death. They murdered my parents and covered it up for 2 years. Emma's voice rose. I'm not here because someone pushed me. I'm here because these people thought they could get away with destroying lives, and I refused to let them. The verdict came back guilty on all counts. Victoria Caldwell was sentenced to life in prison, plus 50 years. After the sentencing, Emma wheeled herself out of the courthouse into a wall of cameras and microphones. Reporters shouted questions from every direction. Emma, how do you feel about the verdict? What's next for you? Do you consider yourself a hero? Stone stepped forward, creating a barrier between Emma and the press. No more questions. She's been through enough. But Emma stopped him. Wait. She turned to face the cameras, taking a deep breath. I'm not a hero, she said. I'm just someone who saw something wrong and refused to look away. There are a lot of people like me out there, people who are scared, people who think they're powerless, people who believe their voices don't matter. I'm here to tell them they're wrong. She paused, gathering her thoughts. 2 years ago, I was in a car accident that took my parents and my ability to walk. I thought my life was over. I thought I would never be anything again. Then I saw 3 men threatening a woman in an alley, and I had a choice: stay silent or speak up. I chose to speak up. It cost me everything. It almost cost me my life, but it also gave me something I never expected. What was that? A reporter called out. Family. Emma's voice cracked. I found people who believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. People who risked everything to help me fight back. I'm standing here today because of them. Not because I'm special, but because I wasn't alone. She looked at Stone at Clara in her wheelchair near the courthouse steps at Mama D, and the bikers gathered around them. If there's one thing I want people to take from this, it's that you don't have to be perfect to make a difference. You don't have to be strong or rich or powerful. You just have to be willing to try. And you have to find your people, the ones who will stand beside you when everything goes wrong. Emma turned away from the cameras and wheeled herself down the ramp. The questions continued, but she didn't look back. Stone fell into step beside her. That was quite a speech. I meant every word. I know you did. They reached Clara, who was beaming despite the tears streaming down her face. I'm so proud of you, Clara whispered, pulling Emma into a hug. So proud. We did it, Clara. For Danny. For my parents. For all of them. We did. Clara pulled back and looked at her. What are you going to do now? It was a question Emma had been asking herself for weeks. She'd been so focused on the trials, on the testimony, on making sure justice was served. Now that it was over, she felt adrift. I don't know, she admitted. Go back to work at the library, I guess. Try to have a normal life. You could do more than that. Rebecca Shaw approached her expression thoughtful. You have a gift, Emma. For research, for investigation, for connecting dots that other people miss. Have you ever thought about law school? Emma stared at her. Law school, me? Why not? You'd make an excellent prosecutor. Or a victim's advocate. Someone who fights for people who can't fight for themselves. I'm in a wheelchair. So, Rebecca smiled. Last time I checked, lawyers don't need their legs. They need their brains. And yours is exceptional. Emma didn't know what to say. The idea was so far from anything she'd imagined for herself that it seemed almost impossible. But then again, everything she'd accomplished in the last month had seemed impossible at first. Think about it, Rebecca said. No pressure. But if you decide you're interested, give me a call. I know some people. She walked away, leaving Emma staring after her. She's right, you know. Stone's voice was quiet. You've got a gift. I don't know anything about law. You didn't know anything about investigation either. You learned. Stone crouched down, so they were at eye level. Emma, I watched you take on the most powerful criminals in this county and win. I watched you stare down murderers and never blink. You think you can't handle law school? It's not about whether I can handle it. It's about whether I deserve it. Deserve it? Stone frowned. What does that mean? I didn't do this alone. You did so much. Clara, Mama, D, everyone. And they'll all tell you the same thing. None of this would have happened without you. Stone took her hands. Emma, your father died trying to expose the truth. Your mother died beside him. You honored their memory in a way most people could only dream of. If anyone deserves a second chance at life, it's you. Emma felt tears spill down her cheeks. I miss them so much. I know. I wish they could have seen this. I wish they knew. They know. Stone's voice was thick. Wherever they are, they know. They drove to the cemetery that afternoon. Emma, Stone, Clara, and all the others. Mama D had brought flowers. Mike had brought a bottle of whiskey, which he poured out on the grass beside the headstones. To Tommy and Sarah, he said, two of the bravest people I never met. Emma sat before her parents' graves, surrounded by the family she'd found. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber. I did it, she whispered to the headstones. I finished what you started. The people who hurt you are going to prison forever. Riverside is safe again. And her voice broke. I found a reason to keep going. Stone placed his hand on her shoulder. Clara squeezed her hand. The bikers stood in a loose circle around them, silent witnesses to a moment that was too sacred for words. "I love you," Emma said to her parents. "I'll always love you, and I'll make sure the world remembers what you did." And she sat there until the stars came out saying goodbye and hello at the same time. Goodbye to the grief that had defined her for 2 years. Hello to whatever came next. 3 months later, Emma enrolled in night classes at the community college. Pre-law. The first step toward a future she was finally starting to believe in. She still worked at the library during the day, but things were different now. People recognized her on the street. They stopped to thank her, to share their own stories, to ask for advice. She'd become without meaning to a symbol of hope for the community. Clara was fully recovered now, back to volunteering at the library and spoiling Emma with home-cooked meals. She'd moved into Emma's apartment building 1 floor up, close enough to check on each other every day. "We're family now," Clara had said when Emma protested. "Family sticks together." Stone had reopened his garage, the damage repaired, and the business thriving again. He came for dinner every Sunday, bringing pastries from Marie's bakery and stories about the old days with Emma's father. "Your dad would have loved to see you now," he told her one evening. "He always said you were going to do something special. He said that all the time. He'd brag about you to anyone who would listen. 'My daughter's going to change the world,' he'd say. I think he was right." Emma looked around at the people gathered in her small apartment, Clara laughing at something Mama D had said, Mike and Tex arguing about football, Hector quietly helping Carla with her homework at the kitchen table. "I already have," she said softly, "just not the way I expected." The final trial verdict came down that spring. Victoria Caldwell's appeal was denied. She would spend the rest of her life in prison, along with Derek, Roy, and Richard. The Hollis drug operation was officially and permanently destroyed. Rebecca Shaw called with the news. "It's done," she said. "All of it. Every appeal exhausted, every avenue closed. They're never getting out." Emma sat with the phone pressed to her ear, feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. "Thank you, Rebecca, for everything." "You did the hard part, Emma. I just helped with the paperwork." Rebecca paused. "Have you thought about my offer, law school?" "I'm taking pre-law classes, starting slow." "Good. That's good." Rebecca's voice warmed. "When you're ready, call me. I meant what I said. You have a gift. This world needs more people like you." After the call, Emma wheeled herself to the window. The streets of Riverside stretched out below, ordinary and peaceful. The town she'd grown up in, the town that had almost destroyed her, the town she'd helped to save. Clara appeared beside her, 2 cups of tea in hand. "Good news?" "The best. It's really over now." "How do you feel?" Emma considered the question. She thought about everything she'd lost her parents. Her legs, 2 years of her life, consumed by grief and fear. She thought about everything she'd gained, Clara Stone, the bikers, who'd become her family. The strength she'd discovered in herself. The future that was finally opening up before her. "I feel ready," she said. "Ready to stop surviving and start living." Clara smiled and squeezed her shoulder. "That's the best thing I've heard all day." That evening, Emma wrote a letter. Not to her parents, she'd said everything she needed to say at their graves. This letter was for someone else. "Dear Danny," she wrote, "we never met, but I feel like I know you. Your grandmother talks about you all the time, how smart you were, how kind, how much you wanted to help people. I want you to know that your death wasn't meaningless. The journal you kept, the evidence you documented it, helped bring down the people who hurt you. Because of you, other kids are safer. Other families won't have to suffer like yours did. I'm going to law school. I'm going to become someone who fights for people like you. People who got caught up in something they didn't understand. People who deserved better than what they got. Every case I take, every person I help, I'll think of you. You mattered, Danny. You still matter. And as long as I'm alive, I'll make sure the world knows it. Rest easy now. We've got it from here. Emma Lawson. She folded the letter and gave it to Clara the next morning. Would you put this at Danny's grave? She asked. I think he should know. Clara read the letter with tears streaming down her face. When she finished, she pulled Emma into a fierce hug. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for giving him justice. Thank you for giving me you. Thank you for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself. They held each other for a long time, two women bound by tragedy and transformed by hope. 6 months later, Emma received her acceptance letter from the state law school. Full scholarship based on her academic performance and what the dean called extraordinary demonstration of character in service to justice. She read the letter 3 times before it sank in. Stone found her sitting on her porch, the letter in her lap, tears running down her face. Good news or bad news? He asked. I got in. Emma looked up at him, still not quite believing it. Full scholarship. They want me. Stone's face split into a rare, genuine smile. Your dad would be doing backflips right now. I'm scared, Emma admitted. What if I can't do it? What if I fail? Then you'll fail trying. Stone sat down beside her. Emma, you've faced down killers, survived attacks, testified in court, and brought down the most powerful criminals in this county. You think you can't handle some law books. Law books don't try to kill you. No, but finals week comes close. Stone laughed at his own joke, then grew serious. You're going to be fine. Better than fine. You're going to be great. How do you know? Because you're Tommy Lawson's daughter and Sarah's. The two bravest people I ever knew. Stone put his arm around her shoulders. That kind of courage doesn't just disappear. It grows. It multiplies. It changes the world. Emma leaned into his embrace, letting the tears fall. Tears of grief for everything she'd lost. Tears of joy for everything she'd found. Tears of hope for everything still to come. I couldn't have done any of this without you, she said. Sure you could have. No. Emma looked up at him. I mean it, Stone. You saved my life, in more ways than one. Stone's eyes glistened. You saved mine too, Emma. You reminded me what it means to fight for something that matters. You gave me a second chance at being the man I always should have been. So we saved each other. Yeah. Stone smiled. I guess we did. The night before Emma left for law school, her family threw her a going-away party. Clara made her famous apple pie. Mama Dee decorated the apartment with streamers and balloons. Mike and Tex gave a speech that made everyone cry laughing. Hector and Carla presented her with a custom-made leather jacket Hell's Angels style, but with her own patches Lady Justice on the back, and Emma's Angels stitched over the heart. You're one of us now, Mama Dee said. Always have been, always will be. Stone gave his gift last. A simple wooden box worn with age. Inside was a photograph, a young Tommy Lawson standing next to an even younger Stone, both of them grinning at the camera, arms thrown around each other's shoulders. I found it in my storage unit, Stone said gruffly. Thought you should have it. Emma stared at the photo, at her father's face frozen in a moment of pure happiness. She'd never seen this picture before. never known this side of him. "He looks so young," she whispered. "He was. We both were." Stone cleared his throat. "That was taken right before he met your mother. He was talking about going straight making something of himself. I told him he was crazy." "What did he say?" Stone smiled. He said, "Stone, someday I'm going to have a family, and I'm going to make sure they're proud of me, whatever it takes." Emma clutched the photo to her chest. "He did. He made us so proud. And you made him proud too, every single day." Emma left for law school the next morning. Stone drove her to campus, helped her move into her accessible dorm room, and stood awkwardly in the doorway when it was time to say goodbye. "Call if you need anything," he said. "I mean it. Anything. I will. And come home for holidays. Clara will never forgive you if you miss Thanksgiving." "I wouldn't dream of it." Stone nodded, started to turn away, then stopped. "Emma. Yeah, your parents would be so proud of you. I hope you know that." Emma wheeled over and hugged him hard. "I do, because of you." She watched him drive away, her heart full of everything she'd lost and everything she'd found. Then she turned her wheelchair toward her new life and didn't look back. 3 years later, Emma Lawson graduated at the top of her law school class. Clara Stone and the entire biker family filled the audience, cheering loud enough to drown out everyone else. Rebecca Shaw was there too, offering her a job at the district attorney's office. Emma accepted on one condition: she would work exclusively on cases involving vulnerable victims. People who had been exploited, terrorized, silenced. People like she had been. "Deal," Rebecca said, shaking her hand. "Welcome to the team." On her first day of work, Emma rolled past the wall of portraits that lined the office hallway. Prosecutors who had served with distinction. Attorneys who had made a difference. At the end of the hall, a new frame had been added. Not a portrait, but a photograph. Thomas and Sarah Lawson, smiling at the camera on their wedding day. Beneath it, a small plaque read, "In memory of Thomas and Sarah Lawson, whose courage started a revolution." Their daughter finished it. Emma stopped in front of the photo, her hand pressed to her heart. "I made it, Mom and Dad," she whispered. "I made it." She took a deep breath, straightened her shoulders, and wheeled herself into the office where she would spend the rest of her career fighting for justice. Fighting for the voiceless. Fighting for everyone who had ever been told they were powerless. Because she knew the truth now. The truth her parents had died for. The truth she would spend her life defending. No one is powerless. No voice is too small. And sometimes the person who changes everything is the one nobody expected: a girl in a wheelchair who refused to look away. That night, Emma called Stone, like she did every Sunday. "How was your first day?" he asked. "Perfect, hard, terrifying, perfect," Stone laughed. "Sounds about right." Stone, "Yeah, thank you, for saving me, for believing in me, for being my family when I didn't have one." "You always had one, Emma. You just had to find us." "I know that now." Emma smiled, looking out at the city lights. "I know." She hung up and sat in the quiet of her apartment, surrounded by law books and family photos and the jacket her biker family had given her. Outside, the world kept spinning. Cases needed to be fought. Justice needed to be served. Lives needed to be saved. But tonight, Emma Lawson simply breathed, simply existed, simply lived. She had survived the worst. She had found the best. And tomorrow she would wake up and do what she was born to do, fight for the people who couldn't fight for themselves. Just like her father. Just like her mother. Just like the Hell's Angel who had appeared in an alley and changed everything. Some people wait their whole lives to find their purpose. Emma Lawson had found hers at her lowest moment, surrounded by enemies unable to move. And she had risen. Not in spite of what happened to her, but because of it. Not alone, but surrounded by family. Not as a victim, but as a warrior. This is what it means to survive, not just to endure, but to transform. Not just to live, but to matter. Emma Lawson mattered. Her parents mattered. Danny and Clara and all the others who had suffered, they mattered. And the people who had hurt them would spend the rest of their lives knowing that a girl in a wheelchair had destroyed their empire, exposed their crimes, and built something beautiful from their ashes. Justice had won. Hope had won. Love had won. And that was enough. That was everything. That was the end of one story and the beginning of another. Because heroes aren't born in moments of triumph. They're forged in moments of desperation tempered by loss and revealed when they refuse to give up. Emma Lawson never gave up, and she never would. Thank you for watching this story all the way through. If this touched your heart, please share what city you're watching from and your favorite moment in the comments below. Your support means everything. Until next time, remember, you are never as powerless as you think. Keep fighting, keep hoping, keep believing. The world needs more people like you.